All right, welcome back. What Up Collective Podcast, episode 30. I don't know if it's episode 30 or not. I'm just assuming that we're close. Back to some guests on the podcast this time, and you're back in the lineup full swing now.
Yeah,
so.
Finally back.
Well, anyway, today we've got David McElwain. Did I say your last name right?
Yep, that is. I've heard it pronounced every different way, but you got it right on the first time.
Well, that's I didn't. So I guess we'll get into how we got set up with you, because I didn't ask Olivia how to pronounce her last name when she came on there, and it just seemed too simple to be Lappin, but it was. That was what my guess was, but I was nervous I was going to mispronounce it and forgot to ask her when she came on. And then we had Austin Delano.
Yeah,
we had him on the other week, and I did the same thing with him. So I need to just start asking people before, but I thought I could get yours right.
You got it, man. No,
So David is. So if you listen to the one probably a month ago, we had Olivia on here, and David and Olivia, it looks like they just travel the world together and do whatever. So you were saying before we came on here, y'all been together for a couple of years and rocking and rolling.
Yep. So we're
Go ahead. Don't let me cut you off.
No, I was just gonna say I've been a lucky guy. I don't know how I've convinced her to stick with me this long, but we both are pretty fortunate as far as our job situations. It's allowed us to be able to travel a decent amount and see some pretty cool places.
Well, that's what I started following her on Instagram right after Bo recorded that episode with her, and I think that's what I've noticed, like in my stories here I feel like y'all been in Africa for like 2 months now. It seems like there's been constant content coming out of there. That looked like a cool trip.
Yeah, I felt like we were over there for a long time, but it felt like it was just a blip in time, man. It was it happened quickly, but yeah, I think the whole. So Olivia, when we started out dating, she was not really a hunter. She hadn't really been hunting. Honestly, I don't think she'd been hunting ever. And to watch her progression grow as a hunter and to now we're being able to travel different places and hunt. It's been a cool ride watching that, and something that I've found a lot of enjoyment in. And I've also, I've always, I've hunted alone and stuff like that. So now I have a constant hunting partner. It's been very enjoyable.
Yeah, I think I've been following along with your stuff I think I remember one of your videos. I think you did a video on solo camping for turkeys or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Your setup now looks a little better than back then.
Yeah, we've it's definitely adapted a little bit since then, but still probably sleeping in the back of the truck the exact same way. But now have a camper, so we do that every once in a while too. So 2 people in the back of a truck is a little tight. It's a little tight, so we had to upgrade.
That camper upgrades things a little bit.
Yeah.
But so we'll hit on real quick what you do for work, and then we'll come back to what it is later. But so right now you work for Shoshone Adventure Consulting.
Yes, I do.
Y'all are basically a hunting consulting service.
Yep.
We'll come back to Shoshone, but you can just touch on kind of what y'all do and what you do for them.
Yep. So actually, I've been with those guys for going on about 2 years now. I've worked with them as a content director and a creative director with them the past 1.5 or 2 years. And it's been a cool change of pace from what I'm used to. It's what we do is we're basically a travel agency for hunters. We set people up. So if you guys wanted to go to Africa, or if you guys wanted to go to British Columbia, or wherever you guys had a desire to hunt, we can set you up with an outfitter that matches y'all's needs. We don't do the travel planning and stuff like that. All we do is connect A to B and get you there. So it allows you to be able to kind of take out a lot of the questions when it comes to outfitters. There's a lot of questions out there when you're traveling. If you wanted to hunt somewhere else, if you wanted to hunt, wherever, and you don't know anybody, being able to know that this outfitter has a reputable reputation kind of means a lot. And a lot of these guys are spending a good bit of money, so having a little bit of peace of mind helps out for sure.
Yeah, I mean, when you're talking about Africa or British Columbia or sheep, going for sheep or whatever, you're not talking about pocket change. So
Yeah,
you don't want to go
yeah,
up there.
and I promise you, I'm the guy I am not used to. I've never hunted outfitters. I've always hunted public. I've always done the DIY stuff, and seeing these guys going over there and investing a lot of money has been just mind-boggling to me. I mean, it's unbelievable to see the people out there that are go and do this kind of stuff, and it's cool to watch. And I'm allowed to be able to go along with them a lot of times to film. A lot of times I'm hunting and stuff like that. It's just allowed me to be able to see some pretty cool places across the world.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it. So, before you were with Shoshone, you were with Mossy Oak, right?
Yep, I worked with
So,
Mossy Oak for 5 years.
yeah, so just kind of how, because I know this is a big question, for young guys growing up or even people our age, but how'd you get into the outdoor space back then?
Yeah, so I'm trying to think what year that was, but I was actually in college, and I traveled. I saved some money, pinched some pennies, and went elk hunting out west. I did it by myself and hunted DIY, did the whole thing, and I was successful. And I had a camera along with me, and I carried that camera just about every day, and tried to do the best I could filming and taking pictures of whatever I was doing. And looking back at it, I look at those pictures and I'm like, wow, that's pretty rough photography, but it captured a memory, and it allowed me to be able to to look back on that, and I cherish those memories more than anything these days. But being able to carry the camera allowed me to kind of open a door that never had thought about. And so I went back the next year hunting, and I carried that same camera, and it just kind of like I was like, I like this. I don't know why or what happened, but I like the I like that aspect of capturing a moment. So kind of transitioned from there, got a new camera. I was in college, and I started really trying hard to get better, I guess. I can remember sitting on my mom and dad's couch in my little room every Friday night, every Saturday night, just working hard, trying to get better. And eventually, it just kind of like more and more doors started to open. And I went to school with Bobby Cole's daughter. So Bobby Cole's daughter, Jessie Cole, I played tennis with him, and I knew Bobby through that. And I was actually living in Colorado at the time, and some guy around here, I won't say his name, but some guy around here uh, liked me a lot. And he was like, listen, man, I'm going to take your resume up to Mossy Oak. And I was like, they're not going to care about this. They're not going to, there's no way. Okay. So he took my resume up to Mossy Oak. And I get a call from Bobby Cole about 3 weeks later. And I'm in Colorado at the time. And he's like, hey, man, we'd love to talk to you about doing some stuff at Mossy Oak, maybe just freelancing, whatever it is. And I was like, yep, sounds good. And actually moved back here from Colorado, not specifically for that, it was for school, but I took an internship with Mossy Oak for, I think it was about 3 weeks. And then they said, you want a job? I said, yeah, I want a job. And I actually took a semester off school, uh, chased that job, and worked there for 5 years. And never went back to school. Best decision I made in a long time. And it kind of branched into what it is now. But I'm very, very appreciative to those guys over there. They have been very, very good to me over the years. And it's my hometown. I live here in West Point, Mississippi. So I see those guys just about every day, pass them on the streets and everything. But
Gotcha.
and then when I left, it was sad. It was sad, but I knew it needed to happen as far as what I wanted to do personally in a different branch of life. So I have no, I miss it down there with all those people a lot, but I think everybody's happy.
Was Riley Payne working there when you were there?
Yeah, Riley. So Riley, I thought I saw him on one of your stories on Instagram one time, and I was like, I think that was Riley
He's
Payne.
a good buddy of ours.
Yeah, Riley. So Riley actually, I sat at his desk for the first like 2 months of being there. Like he was showing me editing stuff and everything. And we'd go out and film some stuff. My first trip ever was with Riley Payne to White Oak Duck Woods in Arkansas, banding ducks. And so we got back from that, and he transitioned over to a different job, and I basically took his old job right there, in the exact same desk, filming with the same camera and everything. And then a couple of years later, he transitioned out, and I guess living in Meridian now.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I keep bugging him about showing me how to operate a camera and all that, and he's just like, "Look, I'll show you some stuff." He's sick. He did it so much for so long. It's like I'm not fooling with all that stuff anymore. But
the joke with around the office about Riley was, I think Riley spent more time turkey hunting than he did working. That's what everybody joked about. But he is mad at the turkeys.
Yeah, it drives him crazy right now. The job he works, he doesn't get to hunt them every day like he wants to. But he still, I think he limited out this year around here, so he still gets out there as much as he can.
Good.
I've been wanting to get him on here. We just hadn't set it up yet, but
yeah,
he's something else.
He's a good man.
Yes, he is. So,
but I'm guessing that the photography side and all that's been the avenue moving forward through that job and to Shoshone. Seems like that's the way you went. Okay.
Yeah, it is. It's I'd say the outdoor industry is tough, man. It's tough to find jobs. It's tough to find jobs that are paying decent money. It can be tough for a lot of guys, and I would say to anybody that's younger starting out is like, you're either going to have to really, really grind hard to find jobs to make a living doing it, or you're going to have connections, and that feels like that's the way of the world nowadays. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know, and you guys know that a lot. It's tough. It's tough, and especially our area too. In the Southeast, there's not as many photographers out there, which it's kind of been nice, to be honest with you. But out west and kind of all the rest of the North America, it's pretty saturated industry right now. But for young guys starting out, I would definitely just say work your butt off, post a lot, and try to get noticed. That's your best chance.
Yeah, and that's the thing now. I mean, the way Instagram and all is going, there's just so many people doing it, and 99% of them probably don't get paid for anything, but there's a lot of people out there that post quality stuff, and it's just so easy to just get somebody to go freelance for you instead of having to pay a full-time person. So
that was something we were actually talking about this past turkey season, and it's like it's a good and a bad thing. I remember when I first signed up for Instagram, like the reason why I wanted it was seeing that kind of photography. Like that was kind of one of my draws to getting on it, was seeing like all the wildlife photography, the nature photography, and all. And there's so many people putting such great content out now, but the kind of like devil behind it is that it gets so glossed over because there's so much volume in it. You have to have so much volume to do it. And it's like, I wish people would kind of take more time to appreciate some of the stuff's out there, because it took a lot to get some of that. But it's like almost one of those things, like when you see it, like I always try to, like when I see something like one of your pictures, something like I try to like actually sit there and look at it for a second, because it's like, there's a lot that went into this, and it's so easy to just like blow through all this content now when, I don't know. It's one of those things, like to me, like it's a good thing because it adds, like it makes possibilities out there. But there's a part of me that always, I'm like, gosh, I hate it for these guys, like because they're coming up with such great stuff that so many people are just going to like glance over or blow by it, when it's like awesome shots, awesome videos.
Yeah, you couldn't be more right about that. I mean, that's 100% the truth.
You love it and you hate it at the same time, I guess.
I mean, you just got to put out so much stuff for free to try to get noticed.
Which, I mean, the flip side of that is, I mean, years ago you wouldn't have that opportunity. You might have published a book or coffee table book or something like that. But how many people were, the odds of that getting out and circulating? So you get your stuff in front of way more people. But yeah, I just always ask people, like, man, when you see something like that, cool, like take the time and kind of appreciate what went into it.
Yeah, I tell you, there's a lot of time that goes into a lot of the shots that photographers get, and it's It's sometimes it's really nice when on social media because you feel like a lot of people see it, and like you said, a lot of times you post it and you get like 3 likes, and you're like, wow, I just took a lot of time on that, and nobody saw it.
Yeah. And
But
it rarely are people as fired up for the picture that you took as you are when you put it out there.
yeah, no, yeah, the photographer's way more excited. I promise you about it. And
Yeah.
it's reels have obviously done pretty well on a lot of platforms and all that kind of stuff. But um, I am on social media for honestly business and a couple of the relationships I have with people across the country and everything, just to keep up with them. I'm not near as active on there as I used to be, and it's 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 not because I don't love it and everything, but it's just I would rather be out taking pictures or be outside doing stuff and not sitting there
Yeah.
on a screen, which I have been guilty of in the past. So I try to
Yep.
distance myself from it just a
It's
little
easy
bit.
to do.
So were you before that trip to that elk hunting trip, were you big into photography already, or did that trip did you just want to go out there and take pictures to remember the hunt, or?
No, I think I was not into photography at all. I would say I was, a cell phone photographer. That's about all I did. But no, that trip kind of lit a fire in me to be able to go out there and do that, and I wanted to be able to remember the hunt. And I was mainly filming what I was doing. I was mainly just filming it. The typical like a kid wanting to start out their hunting little hunting show, and they're
Yep.
filming the hunt and all this kind of stuff. And it was that's probably the trip that really I would say changed my life as far as hunting out west, photography, videoing. That was the one trip that, like I said, lit the fire in me to want to do more.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm sure you're shooting with all kind of different cameras and stuff now, but just like what would be a good all around semi affordable camera setup for somebody right now if you were about to go try to get some good content out there?
You're making me pick sides right now. You're making me really dive into this. So I
This
don't
is
know if
not
I
a
have
public.
a I don't
I was
know
gonna
if
say
I
this isn't a
have
public
yeah.
question. It's for Bo. This is for Bo. This is
No,
100%.
because
This
I've
is
already got too much invested into mine, so I can't
yeah.
change
He'll
anyway. It
just
doesn't matter.
whatever you say. Come back in a year, and that's what we'll be looking at right now.
I will set you up an Amazon cart. We'll get you going, Bo. I tell you what, we'll have everything you need.
I've already dumped way too much money into it for the little bit that I use it. 'Cause I go through spurts, and Austin can tell you, I
Yeah.
go through spurts of 1 month I'll be videoing and taking pictures constantly, and the next month this camera won't leave this little studio right here. So
And to me, sometimes that's similar to what I do too. Is like summer months, I'm not super motivated to go out and video and stuff like that.
yeah,
But like turkey season or deer season or whatever it is, I'm like, give me the camera, give me the gun or bow, whatever I'm going.
yeah,
But I would say, it just depends on what guys want. I hate everybody says that it depends, but like it really does depend on what you want. If you want to focus mainly on photography, then I would say, a DSLR or a mirrorless camera. Canon is my favorite, but Sony makes really good ones. Nikon makes some pretty decent ones. Um, but if you're wanting to mainly video your hunts, then I would say steer more towards like a handy cam or something like that, like no lenses attachable, because it is tough if you don't have the right lenses and stuff like that. As far as like, so imagine and me and Riley had a lot of these conversations together talking about this, but you're sitting up against a tree and you're filming a hunt. Okay, the turkey's out there at 300 yards. Okay, you got a long lens. Okay, you can zoom out there a long ways. But when the turkey gets close to 15, 20 yards, then you're all up in his grill and you can
yeah,
only see super close. And then when the hunter shoots, you have to pan over to the hunter, and you really can't see the hunter because how zoomed in you are. So you have a wide range of focal length and everything, zoom. So and it it just depends on what you want, the quality you're wanting to capture it into. Is I shoot mainly all my stuff. I shoot on a Canon R5 with a 24 to 70, and then a 70 to 200, and that is the perfect range for me as far as
yeah,
filming hunts, wildlife photography and stuff like that. I have Sigma 150 to 600 that I love, but it's too heavy to carry up and down mountains and whatever else we're doing. It's way too much. But for guys that are just wanting to start out and just wanting to capture a few a few things, and they're wanting to capture hunts, a handy cam is kind of hard to beat for those guys. But if you're wanting to get more professional and stuff like that, I would definitely say I like mirrorless cameras. It's kind of my thing.
Yeah, and that 70 to 200, talking about it being zoomed in, even because that's what I use when I take pictures on the camera we're shooting with now. And like I'll do interview type stuff on it, and I'm filming myself like for my real estate company. I feel like I'm 30 yards back away from the camera trying to film myself. But
or you sit down like on a woods turkey hunt or something like that. That 70 is tight.
Yeah, it gets real tight, especially when you're filming somebody. I filmed a turkey hunt 3 days ago, almost maybe 4 days ago, and I was shooting on a 150 to 600, and the guy was sitting, I don't know, 5 yards from me, and he shoots this turkey, and I pan over to him, and I swear all you can see is his eyes. Like, yeah, it's a catch-22 what you want, honestly, but 7,200 is hard to beat.
Well, dude, tell us about, because you go everywhere it seems like, and staying on the photography side of things, what are some of the coolest shoots you've done, or the most, I guess that first one might be the most memorable, but since you've kind of started doing it professionally, what are some of the coolest places you've gotten to go shoot?
I think I have a handful of places that I really dreamed about for a long time. I remember when I was at Mossy Oak, I had a whiteboard in my office that had Canada, New Zealand, and Alaska on it. And of all those three places, I've been able to go two of those. I have not made it to New Zealand yet. Hopefully for the next handful of years I'll make it over there. But I really like Alaska a lot. I'd say that's been one of my favorite places in the world to go, and putting the camera down is definitely one of the best places to hunt and fish. But while I was at Mossy Oak, though, just talk about stuff inside the lower 48. We were able to go and capture deer in Texas for a study, and it was a genetic study. It was to see if culling worked in wild populations of deer. So we went down there and we captured, I think it was 80 to 100 deer that one weekend, and it was all out of a helicopter. And I remember one of the guys when the guys there was joking. They were like, oh, anybody who gets in that helicopter, you're gonna be throwing up in 10 minutes. And I was like, put me in that helicopter. I want to go up there. Anyway, got to go up there, and I didn't come down for like 6 or 8 hours. We come down to get fuel, obviously, and go right back up. And I loved every minute of it. It was a cool experience, and being able to capture such a unique side of like the outdoor industry that not many people get to see in the study side. It meant a lot to me, and it was definitely one of the coolest trips I've ever been on. But as far as capturing stuff more meaningful to people, I went to Georgia with a father and son, and the father was a eye doctor. He's an eye surgeon, and his son was actually going blind. And this actually happened after he'd become a surgeon and all that stuff. So life is horribly ironic sometimes, and watching him and his son interact, and his son was losing his vision. He's going to go blind eventually one day, and I got to capture that story, and it was a tearjerker. I mean, it was a meaningful story, and I think one of the main things that I've enjoyed about photography and videography, and I'm sure you'll hear from most people say this, but the people that you meet along the way, it's been probably one of the most humbling experiences that I could ever have. I feel like all these different walks of life that people have, and being able to capture that and then show people on the other side of what they're doing or what they're going through. It's been cool. It's been really cool, and I can't imagine working a different job. I have absolutely loved every second of it. There's been times where it's been tough, but at the same time, it's been times where it is like I hate to use the word magical, but it's been humbling, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean that life on the road can. I mean, I imagine it can get even as much as you love what you're doing and you love where you're going and where you are, it can still get draining being on the
Yeah.
road all the time doing stuff.
Yeah, it can. It really can. And that's when I do get to, bring Olivia along on trips and stuff like that. It kind of makes it even more special when it does work out like this. Like we went to Africa, and she got to come, and I was there documenting a hunt and a conservation story and all this kind of stuff, and being able to have her go experience that. Like I said, it added a whole different element to it. It was neat.
So you've been to Alaska a decent amount, haven't you? Or at least it looks like it.
Yeah, I've been to Alaska 3 times. I went to Alaska the first time, and I just went for the fishing the first 2 times, and I love fly fishing. That has been something that I've always been drawn to. And then the third time was this past year. I went and me and one of my best friends, Sam Kohler, we went and hunted mountain goat and Sitka blacktail on Kodiak Island. And let me tell you, not being from there, not being where somewhere that has a lot of bears, there was a lot of bears, man. We flew in, and by the time or the first hour of being there, I had seen 13 bears, and I was like, I gotta sleep out here next to all these things. Like, I love camping and everything, but it's different around brown bears. It's just different. It's not the same.
I don't know if I've ever said this on here or not, but my wife always tells me like you can't go anywhere that has bears because I have one reoccurring. Like you have. I don't know if you do this or not, but you have one reoccurring nightmare. The only nightmare I have is always about bears. I don't live anywhere near where a bear is. I've never hunted anywhere near where a bear is. But like, if I'm going to have a nightmare, it's about a bear. And she's like, "That's it." She's like, "You can't do it. You just can't. You can't go. I'm not letting you go."
Or you could take it as this is a sign that I need to go conquer this one nightmare that I have. I need to go to the bears.
Literally, it's the only thing that'll wake me up in the night. I can dream through any other scenario possible, but if I have a dream with a bear in it, like it's going to wake me up.
Well, and it would be. Your story would be pretty epic if that's the way you went out. Eaten by a brown bear.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know.
It would be
epic if everybody be like, "Well, he's been dreaming about it for years. And when I got killed by a bear, I don't know what he's been dreaming about it 30 years."
Yeah, like I said, I think maybe so there's like grizzlies and the brown bears in Alaska are a little different. Grizzlies here, I don't want nothing to do with. I'm telling you what, I don't want nothing to do with them. They will be a little more aggressive towards you, it seems like. But the brown bears we were in Alaska, they were all besides like a couple instances that we had out there. They were pretty chill. Like they didn't care about you. They had plenty of fish and everything until they didn't, and then they're like, okay, what's going on over here?
Yeah, I hunted northwest Montana. I guess it's been 2 years now, and we never saw a grizzly, but just knowing that they're up there and that stuff's so thick. I mean, there's times when you can't see 25, 30 yards, and it makes you kind of walk on the edge the whole time, especially when you're with a bow and arrow and no other way to defend yourself. But
it adds such a different element to hunting. It's such a different element. Like I said, Colorado and stuff like that, where I hunted, you don't have to really worry about that kind of stuff because in most cases there's not anything around that's going to harm you besides a mountain lion. But when you go hunt other places, you're like, okay, well, I got to be a little extra careful walking around this corner right here because there could be a mom and a sow right here. But
it's just something like if you're listening to this from somewhere else and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe these guys are talking about that. It's like being hunting in Mississippi, like you don't have any, like there's nothing to cross your mind.
No. And like I said, when I lived out there, people were freaked out by us having alligators. And we think of alligators, we're like, oh, it's an alligator. It's just whatever. It's not going to bother anything. But that's what I try to equate that is. Like, you're freaked out about alligators. We're freaked out about the bears and everything else you guys have. But you got to get in the water to be bothered by an alligator. I got to be walking on land.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to avoid an alligator. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
Stay away from the water.
Yeah, that's what I was telling Olivia that when we were in Africa. I was like, because there's like the highest concentration of great white sharks in the what is it, Cape Cod? Not Cape Cod, Cape area right there. Yep. So the Cape area right there, and I was like, the difference between great white sharks and like brown bears or whatever else. It's like I got to get in the water to get. I'm never going to get attacked by a shark. I'm not going to get attacked by a shark. But no, but in most cases, everything's going to leave you alone unless you bother it. And so far, it's been good. I've been on I guess a good luck streak. I haven't really had many problems, but we did have a lot of bears come in camp trying to get the goats and stuff like that. We had hanging up and all this kind of stuff. But overall, it was not a lot of issues. And they string up this little wire around your camp. Okay. So when you get there, you're like, okay, this is a electric fence. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel good. And the last night, we had a brown bear come in, and I mean, it was 15 yards, and guy hollered at it, and it just like wolfed back at him, and it didn't care nothing about us. It was like, you're not going to bother me. So it walks away. And that night, I'm like, I didn't like that. Okay, I didn't like that at all. And I walked the fence, and the guy was like, touch that fence. And I was like, I'm not touching. And I was like, well, I'll touch the fence. And I took the back of my hand, I touched that fence. Y'all, I kid you not, it was like it wouldn't have kept my 50-pound dog out of that thing. It was just a tingle. I was like, what? This is doing nothing but helping your mind. Like, this is not going to keep a bear off of you.
It made you feel even worse about
it. That last night, I was kind of a little worried. I'm not going to lie to you. But we shot a deer. We walked up this ridge, and like I said, it was really thick. We got up on top of it, and I looked down, and there's a bear at like 80 yards. And I tell everybody, and it's just sitting there looking up at us. And there's huge bear tracks walking on top of this ridge. And so we dropped down on the opposite side of the ridge, chasing a deer. And I guess we got 500 yards or so from that, and looked back up the ridge, and it looked like there was just a dinosaur. Okay. And this bear had walked up on top of the mountain, and he's following our tracks. He's going to come down to us. He's following our tracks. And it didn't even look real. It looked so big. So we're chasing deer and everything. Didn't get the deer. We walked back up the ridge, and we think, okay, well, we have to go back that way to camp. So we get up there, and the bear's nowhere to be seen. And I got a pistol, and I'm like, okay, this thing, he's somewhere around here. So we take a break right up there where that bear was, and you can see 30 or 40 yards around you. And we're sitting there for 5 or so minutes, and I look down, and just in this a crack of these two rocks, I can see this bear just watching us. And I'm like, all right, there it is. That's where it is right there. And eventually we stood up and kind of made some noise and everything, and she walked away. But it felt like she was kind of like waiting for us to shoot. And she was like, the guide had been there for 30 years. He was like, that's a problem bear. That bear's going to be a problem, because a lot of those bears, they'll wait till you shoot, and they know, obviously, that's like a dinner bell for them. That's free food, and they'll come to you. So thankfully we didn't have that problem, but it was definitely a little like, okay, well, this bear's thinking about being an issue. So
yeah, he knew or she knew what she was doing.
Yeah, she was probably hungry. There wasn't a lot of fish around at that point.
What were you just got back from Africa, what can you equate the lines over there? Was that feeling anywhere the same as bears in Alaska?
Yeah. So where we were, there's not a big population of lions. We were in the East Cape. We were at I would say about 2 hours from Port Elizabeth. We flew into Johannesburg and flew over to there. But there was not many lines where we were. There is in South Africa, you'll hear like the amount of fenced operations, and that's mainly where the lines are going to be. We were hunting completely free range, no fences, but they do have not jaguars. They have leopards and stuff move through, but a lot of the big five are not around that area. So it was kind of nice. A lot of snakes, but not a lot of lines and that stuff. But we saw them. We went to some nature reserves after that, and I got some good pictures of them, and it was cool to see. And yeah, but I would be a little nervous about walking around them for sure if I was hunting somewhere that had a lot of them.
Yeah, I can't.
While we were there, there was a guy that our guide knew very well, and he was tracking a wounded leopard with his dogs, and they found the leopard, and unfortunately the leopard found him too, and it absolutely it got him good. It got him real good. He's lucky to be alive, but it got his head, and it looked pretty rough. But the guy's okay, and I think he's recovering pretty good now, but he's got a heck of a scar from it. But it was just a reminder of hey, One of the people that I work with is going to go leopard hunting in October this year, and they wanted to know if I wanted to go and film it, or whatever. And I was like, "Oh, sorry, deer season." But yeah, it's just a reminder. Like those things can get you, if especially if you wound one and you're going after it. They always say like a leopard and a lion, or obviously you don't want to wound either one of them, but a lion will let you know where he is. You'll hear him. You'll be getting mad in the bushes and all that kind of stuff. And a leopard you won't know. He's just on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no interest in hunting the big five and all this kind of stuff, but it's cool to see them. But as far as chasing one with a gun, no interest in me. And I personally didn't really have that much of an interest in Africa going
Yeah.
into it. I really wasn't something that I really thought that I would enjoy. And jokingly, I said, if one day that I pass away with a wall full of elk, mule deer, and whitetail, I will be just as happy. But I don't really have to travel outside the country hunting, and that Africa trip really changed some perspectives for me. It was definitely something that, like I said, I didn't think that I would enjoy, but I promise you, I will do everything I can to go back within the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Because it's cool to see. It's very cool to see, and all the stories you hear and the reputations of how great it is, how many animals there are, and the people being really nice. It was all true in my case, but obviously everybody's differently. But it changed my outlook.
I feel like that's kind of been my outlook on it, is what you were, I guess. I don't think I've never had a question. I don't think of like whether I would enjoy it or whether I'd want to see it. I've just never had, like, it's never been an itch that I was just like, I got to go scratch this. I got to go see it. But I feel like it's just one of those places. If you go, you're going to love it. I mean, it looks like it's too pretty to not love when you get there.
Yeah, me too, man. I really didn't have any. I didn't have any desire in it at all, and it just
So what
got
got
bit by
you?
the Africa bug.
What was the genesis of that hunt? What got y'all going there?
I don't know what. So we went there to capture a story for it was a story of a buck is called, and the conservation story behind it, and the family we hunted with were the ones that basically brought this thing back from you know near extinction, and the area they were in, they like I said, the conservation story behind it. It was cool to capture, and that's why we went over there. That's the original reason for Shoshone. We went there to capture some of that and do some hunts and stuff like that. And and I thought, yeah, I might shoot something while I'm there. I might maybe. They kept offering it, and I was like, wow, I might. And I got there, and I'm like, yeah, I want to shoot that. That's pretty cool. And I would say the thing that like made me fall in love with it probably the most would be the kudu hunting. It was really cool to see. It was just like our people say it's like our elk hunting. I would say it's a mixture between mule deer and elk hunting because you're up high glassing and stuff like that, and they're not really making any noises, and it's just kind of quiet. But spot and stalk kudu hunting in the mountains was really cool, and Olivia really enjoyed that side of it, and we got to shoot some impala and springbuck, and what a lot of people don't know is so where we were. I'll just kind of break it down for guys that aren't familiar, but you can go over there and hunt management animals. A management animal, from me and y'all's perspective, I'm sure y'all are a lot more keen on it than I am. I probably wouldn't know a difference between a management kudu and a trophy kudu, and the price difference is significantly cheaper. So I was like, yeah, I'll shoot that. I'll shoot that management. I don't have a problem with that at all. But they just had so many over there, and like I said, it's a low fence operation. Um, but a lot of guys that pay a lot of money want to go over and they want to shoot, the tallest kudu inch wise they can, and all this kind of stuff. And I would have been very happy to shoot either one. So I took the first opportunity that I had and missed the first time. I just very embarrassingly missed, but then made it right. So it was it wound up being a pretty cool place. And I think Olivia, I always use this as a standpoint. Is Olivia she was excited about it, but as we were leaving, she was tearing up because how great of a time she had, and she wanted to go back. So I feel like that was the icing on the cake for me, was watching her be able to enjoy it a lot and fall in love with it. But But I would encourage anybody to try it out because it can be a little daunting not knowing. Like
Yeah.
for most guys, like going across the world and hunting and hunting, putting your trust in somebody else that you don't know, it's a little sketchy. And I don't blame you for being a little sketched out by it, but I think that's the reason why um, you should really vet your outfitters, really vet them before you go over there or go through a consulting agency. It's free. If you guys were to come to us, it is completely free. And all we do is set you up with a reliable one. That's all we do.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the biggest thing really about Africa is if it was like Mexico, where Mexico is in relation to where we're at, it wouldn't be as daunting of a thing to think about going. But when you think about, all right, I'm about to have to fly pretty much around the world to get here. Um, I mean,
Yeah.
I just have, there's so much stuff right now that in the United States that I want to hunt. I mean, I'm not going to say I'll never go to Africa. I might go eventually, but there's just so much stuff right now here in North America that I want to spend my time and money on before I go somewhere
No,
like that.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. You're still chasing the turkeys. Do you travel turkey hunting a good bit?
Yeah, a little bit, not a ton. I've got a 2-year-old at home, and I can't hardly ever get anybody to go with me on these trips. And
No, he hunted like 8 states this year. So don't
no,
he's
Okay.
yeah. Now he's painting the sob story now.
well, let me put it this way: I wish I traveled more. Um, but that going alone, it doesn't matter how much fun you're having; it's just not as much fun as going with somebody. I mean, you know how it is. It's just there's nobody to talk about the experiences you're having while you're having them. There's nobody to celebrate kills with. Which Austin went with me. We went to Oklahoma this year and had some success over there, and being there with both of us, I mean, 10 times better than any hunt that you're going by yourself. But
Yeah, people make fun of me for saying it, but I would rather not go on a turkey hunting trip like that. I don't even like turkey hunting around here by myself. Like
yeah,
to me, I like the shared experience. Like I like being with other people. I like the shared experience of it. Um, Deer hunting's a different thing. I mean, that's kind of a one man deal. You may be with other people around the
yeah.
area type deal, but like when I go turkey hunting, I want somebody there to talk to share it, to help me remember, pick up on things I didn't pick up on. Like that's what I like most about it. That's what
Well,
I like.
Yeah.
We almost said it earlier whenever you were talking about the photography side and telling the stories. Like I don't know. That's what I like. That's what I guess keys me up. I like that. I like
Yeah.
the story side of things. I like the interactions with people. Like that's what I like about it. I'd rather
well, that I don't mind because I always do it around here, which I didn't much this year. But I don't mind the solo hunting. I'm fine with. It's whether you're camping or you're staying in a hotel, wherever. It's when you get done, you're like, okay, well, I guess I'll go get me a
Yeah.
little supper and go to bed. Nobody to talk
I
to.
know.
And that's the worst part about that. But yeah, just talking about the stuff around North America. I mean, I've hunted elk before. Um, that's the only big game I've hunted besides deer. But just, I mean, there's just so much stuff. I mean, all the stuff in Alaska, moose, mule deer, elk. It's there's a lot of stuff I want to do that I haven't done yet. But now I mean, golly, it's getting some of the stuff's getting so expensive. It's ridiculous. But and
Oh,
the
it's
seems like the public land is getting tougher and tougher. And but
yeah. I think that's
like,
a standpoint that everybody has right now. Is the public is getting harder and harder, and it is getting tough for sure. And outfitter prices are going up. From what we've seen in our business, outfitter prices are going up significantly every year, and it's
yeah.
just it doesn't seem like they're coming down. I don't know any companies that hey we're going to reduce prices on this. I don't see that.
yeah.
And
Well, and we've talked about it. I think we've talked about it on here. I know we've talked about it off mic, but you always kind of wonder, and you might know from having kind of the insider's perspective. But with turkey hunting, turkey hunting right now. I mean, we grew up turkey hunting. the popularity in the last 5 or 6 years has just absolutely exploded. And do you think it's going to hit like a threshold where, number one, it's going to get harder and harder and harder, and if you're just getting into turkey hunting, it can be super hard for you? Is it going to start dropping back off and people are just like, yeah, this isn't for me? Or is it just going to continue to just get more crowded and more people doing it? And we talked about the benefits of social media, but I think that's one of the downsides is people being able to see how accessible just getting in your truck and going hunting is.
I don't think we're anywhere. I think hunting in general isn't anywhere near its peak yet. Maybe I'm wrong with that. I mean, everybody, we talk about turkey hunting having its heyday back during the 2000s and all, but I think that was from a numbers perspective. Yeah. I think it's been like, we may not be at the all-time high for deer. I might be wrong about that, but I mean, deer's been so popular for so long. It's always been the driving force, but I think it's like starting to kind of fall around the different species, like kind of niche type hunting, because it's like deer super popular. It's getting super crowded. What's next? Oh, well, let me get into turkey hunting. Elk's always been popular. Well, what's something I can do in the spring? And so like, I think you're going to see it kind of just like, as big as the hunting industry is, there's got to be something to like, it's not going to quit because there's got to be something to sell product for. There's got to be something to like motivate interest in.
Well, I could be wrong. I mean,
I think you'll see it like turkey may start to fade off, but there may be people that hunt whatever, bear, or it may be some kind of bird hunting.
But I do think in general, and it may be I haven't looked enough into this, and you may know this. I know as a percentage of the population, hunting is actually continuing to decline, but that could be because population is continuing to increase. So it could be from a sheer, I don't know, from a number standpoint, hunters compared to say 30 years ago, but I know as a percentage, it's actually less.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like turkey hunting keeps going up. And I think it's because it's not easy. The hunting itself is not easy, but going to find turkeys is easy from an affordability standpoint and from where all they are. I mean, they're everywhere basically. So, when you're talking about going elk hunting, number one, even if you go public land, you're spending just say $700, $800 on the tag. And then you're not just jumping in the truck and going to find you a little pull off and going out there for a few hours to find an elk.
Well, and it's so easy now, like just with all the mapping software and internet access, like you didn't used to have that. So just being able to like do something in one state and be like, where are we going next? Or where's, hey, we hunted here. There wasn't anything here. What's close? Like, it's so much easier to do now. I think that's what, and turkey is an easy thing to travel and do. So
because it's affordable. It's in every state pretty much. I mean,
well, and you can bounce around, check different places, find like it's something that makes it pretty easy to do. It's easier than deer to do that.
Well, and I don't know if it was, which we got to get off of this tangent on turkey hunting numbers, but I don't know if it was me and you arguing or me and somebody else arguing, but I mean, you've got the Onyx shirt on. Somebody was arguing with me that it was social media that's done the most to make this turkey hunting craze. I think it's Onyx. I mean, and I use it religiously. But how, I mean, for me, that's what made it where I wanted to go start doing it, because I love it, but I don't think I care enough to pull up a state website, their mapping software, and try to figure all that stuff out. But when I
don't know if that was me and you argued or not. I could if you wanted to, but I think it's Onyx made it accessible. Social media made it interesting. Yeah. Like that, the social media side drew the attention to it, and then Onyx made it accessible.
Yeah. I think
definitely. That's not just on. I mean, there's other hunt apps out there too. Not just like picking on them. I think it's just like
I'm not picking on them.
It's awesome. Yeah, me too.
I use it every day.
Yeah, I do too. I use it whether I'm hunting or not.
For work.
Yeah, I use it a lot here. But I think it's those two things.
So we've talked turkey for February, March, April, May. I mean, we've talked turkey too much. We got to quit all that. But I know you got some other stuff to do today. I'm not going to keep you too much longer. But talk about just go into a little bit on Shoshone for somebody that might be interested in it. I mean, you touched on what y'all do, but for somebody that's starting to want to go out of state hunting that needs to use an outfitter, how you can help them out and all that.
Yeah, so I would say I've always been a DIY guy. I've always been that. I've never hunted outfitters until I got to the position that I am now, and I go to capture the memories and everything. But I would say and there's nothing wrong with hunting outfitters. If you're going to go out, if you have a limited amount of time, if you're, you know, if you have a limited amount of time, you're going to go out west and you have 4 days, 5 days to hunt, whatever. You probably aren't going to have as much success as you would if you went with an outfitter. And yes, an outfitter is going to cost you a lot more than if you were to do it DIY. So it's like you have to pick your poison. You want to spend more money and have a better chance, or do you want to spend less money and have a little bit less of a better chance, but have that experience of doing it yourself? A lot of places now out west are becoming, they're more draw only, obviously, and they're becoming more landowner tags. It's harder to get tags from like New Mexico and stuff like that. A lot of guys are paying to play now. So basically what Shoshone does is we are a travel agency that allows you to be able to connect to outfitters. So like Bo, if you wanted to go hunt in New Mexico, or if you wanted to hunt Alaska, whatever, all we do is you call us. We don't charge you a dime. It's free to use Shoshone service. All we're doing is we're connecting you to the outfitter, and the outfitter pays us. We're not, and we don't like pick and choose which outfitter. We have a very select few that we believe in and use, but and they're pretty much located across the world. No matter where you wanted to hunt, what you wanted to hunt. I had a guy just before this right here called me that wanted to hunt moose and in Russia. And so what I'll do is I'll find an outfitter that we have, and we'll connect him. And if it fits everything that he wants, then he will go further and do that hunt. Like I said, it's a free. Like I said, if you want to go to Africa too, and you don't know anything about Africa, and it's daunting and everything, the people that we've used and the outfitters have all been like in service for 20 plus years. A lot of instances. They have a lot of there's a lot of people that you could call to talk to about people going there. There's no hidden things and all that kind of stuff. No hidden fees. It's all up front. The outfitters are all good people. It seems like from what we work with. Obviously there are bad instances that happen. We've had people like before the company was bought out again that used outfitters that people show up to the airport and there's no outfitter there, and they never see them again. So it's scary to think about, like, you're trusting yourself with these people. You're giving them a good chunk of change to be able to go on these hunts, and for them to not follow through on their end, it's kind of scary. So that's the reason why Shoshone was kind of built, was to be able to connect those people. And booking agents a lot of times can get a bad rap, and there's some out there that are not super reputable. But I would say just to anybody, please do your research before you travel and hunt. And if you use somebody like Shoshone, definitely give us a call. And like I said, we're not going to charge you anything. We're just going to set you up with an outfitter that we trust. That's it.
I got a real curveball for you. I was looking through the different hunts you had on your website earlier, and
I may not have an answer, but I'll do my best.
The Maine rough grouse and woodcock hunt, I think, would be cool because of the time of the year it is. My wife and I like going to Maine, and whenever I saw that on there, I was like, that would be a cool hunt.
That would be a cool hunt. I've personally never been on that hunt. So my main, what I focus on mainly is the southeast and out west. I do a lot of hunts as far as setting people up and everything. But that Maine would be really cool. And obviously Olivia, she is from Maine. So
I was pretty sure that I thought I remembered her saying that whenever they did the podcast before.
I'd like to go up there and experience that one day. Hopefully,
that'd be a neat one to go on.
It would be cool.
I don't think I'm spending my money to go to Maine to hunt woodcock, but
To each their own. Some guys love it, but
if there wasn't a demand, it wouldn't be available. I don't guess.
no. I bet you, there's a lot of niche hunts out there that you're like, what? Like that's not even up. Didn't even know that
I'm
was
more
even a
interested in
thing.
doing something like that than going whitetail hunting somewhere. Like, I'd rather pay and go on like some kind of niche hunt than
I'd rather go
Well,
hunt a
there's-
woodcock than a whitetail.
Well, there's people that are right and there's people that are wrong, and you're wrong. I'm kidding. No,
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it just I love whitetail hunting. I just like to
Yep.
do it here.
Yeah. No, I don't blame you at all. I'm
My
whitetail
thought-
and mule deer and stuff like that are what really drive me. That's what I really
Let
enjoy.
me explain it like this. That way, since y'all both have jumped on, I need to explain my reasoning here. So, if I want to continue enjoying what I do here and shooting, somewhere between 120 and 140 inch whitetail, why do I want to go somewhere and shoot this 1.8? Barrett killed a 172 this year. That thing doesn't even look like he belongs on the wall next to everything else. So why pay and go somewhere else and shoot something to bring back and then be like, man, why not even do that here? That's my reasoning behind it.
You gonna put that woodcock on the wall?
No, it ain't about putting everything on the wall. But if I went and shot if I weren't paid for a big deer hunt, I would.
Yeah, I guess so.
I might put that on my desk, Bo, not on the wall.
Yeah. You could go to a different country and shoot a deer that's the size of a not the size of a woodcock. They do.
Yeah,
There's small ones over there too. Yeah.
Did y'all see any of those? What are those over there in Africa? The diker? What is it? The diker?
Diker. We hunted blue, and it's like the smallest deer species over there. And I was filming it. We were filming it out of a blind, and we sat there for like 2 days. And like on the second day, the PH, the guide, was like, "Oh, there it is." And we're in a forest, and I was like, looking through there. I had my big lens. I couldn't find it. I was like, where is it? And I finally found it. And I kid you, this thing was this big. It was like a rabbit. I was like, that's what we're hunting. That's it.
Yeah.
Anyway, when they ended up not getting one, I saw one at the skinning shed when we left there, and I was like, this is a different. This is not for me.
Too much meat on one of those.
No, they hunt them with dogs. They hunt them with dogs a lot of times, and they'll chase them out of they only live in a very small, they don't have a big home range. So they'll, take dogs in and run them like a rabbit or a deer back here.
I was about to say more like a rabbit hunt than probably like a regular dog deer.
Oh my gosh. But the dikers and stuff are cool. We saw a bunch of steenbuck, diker, cool creatures. But yeah, there's a lot of niche hunts out there for guys to think about. It's not an elk or a whitetail. It's definitely not, but it's just something for a lot of guys that want something completely different and have a story.
See, now mule deer, elk, that kind of thing is something I'm interested in.
Yeah.
I drew a mule.
I think going to shooting a big whitetail would mess up. We hunt some good coos deer around here.
Yeah.
That's like.
Yeah.
I think it would mess that up.
We were hunting. We went to Alaska last year. I got to hunt Sitka blacktail, and I shot it, and I was like, well, if I don't mount it, it's gonna look like I just shot a small buck back home. So I was like, I have to mount it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you have to explain every time. That's not a whitetail.
That's not a whitetail. That is not a whitetail. About 2 minutes before I got on this call, I got an email from Colorado Parks and Wildlife that I had drawn a mule deer tag, and it was a 50% chance, and I had a lot of points going into it. So I'm pretty excited about that one. And that's a completely DIY hunt.
You're gonna do it DIY?
Yeah, I'm gonna do it by myself probably. Just go out there and do the best I can. I used to hunt by myself a lot, and that's going back to what you were saying a while ago about not liking it possibly. Sometimes I would rather hunt by myself for sure. I feel like it adds a different element to things, and to me, I hunt better by myself usually. Yeah. And when I went elk hunting a couple of times, I was able to do it myself, and I'm looking forward to doing that again. It's just I've never done a mule deer by myself, so it should be a cool experience. I'm hoping little mountain reset time, and it should be fun, man. Be a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think
I'm
hunting
jealous.
something like that by yourself is the way to go. I mean, just you're dealing with more elements with movement, with wind, with thermals. Like, I think something like that. Turkey is the only thing that I'm like, I gotta hunt with.
No, I don't blame you.
Turkey's the only thing that I'm like that with.
The only reason I like hunting turkey by myself is like if one comes in, I'm like, okay, you can shoot it, good gosh, or whatever. No, when we're hunting with Olivia, like the joke is like for public around here, y'all know it's pretty tough to get birds in on public here. It can be a tough thing to do. And I've always told Olivia, I was like, all right, if this turkey breaks like 40 yards and you can't get a shot at it, he's getting shot at before he leaves here. So no, if he breaks that range, so no, but it's
I had to go to a funeral this weekend. I was talking to a guy while we were standing there. We were talking about the season and going and traveling, hunting public and hunting around here, that kind of thing. We got to laughing. We're like, man, deer club leases around here are probably worse than public land. You get some lease land hunts around here that's got 16, 17 people hunting 2,000 acres. And it's like,
yeah,
it's a different animal.
It can be really tough. Is there leases near you guys for turkeys? Like I'm saying, like is there hunting clubs like that people hunt for turkeys and stuff like that?
Not really specifically for turkeys. I mean, I've got a couple buddies that they're in deer leases and they just pay a discounted rate where they can only hunt turkeys.
Yeah, and that's even kind of getting hard to find. There's so many deer hunters now that have started turkey hunting. I would say 10 years ago, yeah, you could probably get some turkey only leases, but now it's pretty much just got to be a full thing.
It's just and it's so leased land is tough around here just because of our proximity to Louisiana. You've got such a big group of folks that come up from Louisiana and lease around here.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I would bet that, I don't know what.
Yeah, no, I would say a lot of it is definitely people from Louisiana coming up.
Yeah, it's popular. I don't know. I guess it's just so.
There's a lot of timber company land, so that adds a bunch of lease land to it, but it's mostly big groups, and a lot of it is out of state. But you're also not far from like Birmingham, places like that. So it's just kind of far enough away to be a good place to have a camp.
Yep. It is tough to find. It's tough to find places for new hunters, I'd say, to be able to find access. And obviously there's public, and I guess that's the benefit of having companies like Onyx that open that up to people that are new to it, that are trying to find places to hunt. And I've always wondered that as far as if I was an adult onset hunter, if I was trying to figure this out, or if I was a 20-year-old wanting to get into it, the barrier for entry is pretty difficult for a lot of people. I mean, and it's a little overwhelming. Like I'd say, if like Olivia too, like if she didn't start hunting with me and she was like, I'm just going to go out hunting or whatever, it's tough. It's real tough to find out and learn a lot of the stuff like we did when we were kids. So
I mean,
hats off to those guys.
The guy that went with me on the last trip I went on, I mean, he's a similar situation. That he grew up duck hunting all on the Mississippi River, but that mostly what they hunted. All they hunted was up and down the river, and didn't deer hunt much. I think during college he got into deer hunting some with us, and then we introduced him to turkey hunting. But like the only turkey hunting he does is out of state, and it's because of that. As it's the barrier in entry. Like they're in a deer. He's in a deer lease, but where they are on that side of the state, there's not a lot of turkeys. So he got into a lease this past year to have a little bit. But I mean, for the last 3 or 4 years, until this year, the last 4 or 5 years, like the only turkey hunting he would even do would be out of state.
Yeah, well, and there's a lot of people that we don't even think about. I mean, at least he grew up hunting something. There's a lot of people out there that don't even the weapon might be the biggest barrier to entry is figuring out how to use a gun or a bow.
As it's the pay to play models creeping out west, it's like that's been in the East so long that it's like you don't even think about it really here. It's like if you're going to do it, you got to.
No, when you think about West, you think of the land of opportunity as far as hunting, because it's all our land, and it's you have a lot of access. So it is tough for guys, and like I said, hats off to them for figuring it out. But I would like to take new hunters out to try to get them going. That would be a cool thing in life to be able to do.
Yep.
Yep, absolutely.
Agreed.
Well, man, I sure appreciate you coming on. What's your plug your, and we'll put it in the show notes, but plug your Instagram if somebody wants to go look at your pictures and videos and stuff.
Yeah. So my Instagram is davidmac_photo, and that's where I post mainly. I'm not on there super, large amount of time, but try to stay active best I can. And that's pretty much where kind of I'm found is on there. I don't have a Facebook or Twitter or TikTok, just Instagram.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, man,
But
like
I appreciate
I said,
y'all very much.
Yeah. Well, hey, we need to get that main woodcock hunt. We'll leave Bo at home.
I'll send y'all some information on that. We can figure that out.
Yeah, I'll get Morgan and you and Olivia. We can go hit Maine up and leave Bo.
Let's do it. Let's do it, man.
No, you're not going. You're not going. You're not invited.
He said he had a camera. Maybe he could run the camera for us.
I can. Yeah, that'll be my learning experience. I can go up there and figure all
Perfect.
that stuff out.
Perfect.
Man, like I said again, I appreciate it, and we'll. I'm sure you'll have a whole another hour worth of stories, and after a couple more hunts this fall, so we'll try to get you back on here at some point.
Yeah, man. Well, like I said, I really appreciate y'all for taking the time to talk to me and inviting me on. I really enjoy talking to you guys.
Yeah, same here.
Absolutely. We'll see you later.
All right, guys.